Welcome to TheoTrade. This is Don Kaufman. Here we are. Markets still open. March 10th, 2016. What have the S&Ps been doing today? And the answer is, for the most part, anything and everything is in play today. That is, if you turned on your screen right now, so we still have about 25 minutes to go to the close today. Turn on your screen right now, you'd probably look at the S&Ps and think to yourself, it was a nothing day. And then you realize if you looked at an intraday chart, we traded from in the pre-market following the ECB announcement. Again, the ECB, what is it? It is nothing more than Mario Draghi coming out and saying, we will do anything and everything possible. S&P's traded up to, that's right, 2010. Intraday, these things actually traded all the way down to 1967. So our initial kind of thought process yesterday turned out partially correct, and that is we expected a blow-off to the upside move followed by a vicious bout of volatility, which is exactly what we got. Now, the markets rallied back up. I mean, irony of the entire situation is that if you kind of zoomed out on this, right, pretty much we're ending up where the day started. And what is that? So after all of that, we're massively unchanged. That's a 40-point range, though. So time out for just a moment, okay? What does it mean for the marketplace? That's quite simple. Volatility is back, okay? What's been insane today hasn't just been the S&P futures. But you see bond markets today? I mean, volatility is so very back in play that, you know, yesterday I did the evening video and I said, you better know what your risk is if you're going to play ball in the next few days. Get ready. We're coming back into heavy volatility. And I don't know, per se, if the first move is going to be to the downside. At this point, throw everything out the window. You know, the argument right now, you don't look at Google, you don't look at Apple, you don't look at Facebook. It's not at all about individual stocks. And I can't stress that enough. You know, there's an old joke. Kind of goes along the lines of this. There's two hikers walking through the woods. They come across some tracks. One argues, these are deer tracks. The other one goes, you're nuts. These are bear tracks. And they both got hit by the train in the middle of the argument. That's exactly what this marketplace is going to do to traders. They're not looking at the obvious signs, okay, of risk the market is throwing out at you. When the bond market isn't just indecisive, you have to realize these are 1 point move in the bonds. Okay, the entire world of order flow it takes to create this much volume. This is not like a light volume day. Over here, the bond contracts doing 327,000 contracts. Now, we've all seen these things trade more because we've seen a lot of volatility in recent months. Okay, but I'm telling you, the swings are as wild as it gets. What's interesting today, you get bonds down at 1 point in the day and down big, and the S&Ps are falling with it. Okay, again, this is a day where, you know, you're getting cats and dogs living together in harmony. It is bizarre that most of the correlations, or if you will, okay, most of the products, for example, S&Ps, when they trade down, most typically you get the inverse correlation with the bonds. They trade up. Throw that out the window, okay, because it's not happening right now. And again, the market is actually throwing you as many signs as volatility as it possibly can. If a 40-point range in the S&Ps didn't do it for you, okay, I'll focus your attention back on the volatility index. Now, this was my focus the previous 2 trading days and continues to remain my focus. Even the volatility product of the volatility index, the range on the day is fairly phenomenal. Okay, the last time we saw ranges this large on the volatility of the volatility index, all right, it meant we were in store with some pretty heavy amounts of risk. And again, that is a wild 1 day 10-point range of volatility specifically to the VIX over there. All right, so little recap for those of you that do not join us at TheoTrade on a day-to-day basis. Today was a pretty phenomenal setup kind of a day. And that is, if you do trade on an intraday basis, even if you don't, it's all right. Okay, but I do want to go over, there were some great signals in markets over here. One of them, which came kind of early in the day, the markets actually aligned much higher to the open, faded a little bit, rallied again, dove hard. And most of those signals, and again, I'm not a big time directional trader, but most of those signals came by way of the financials, and the financials were actually deteriorating, okay, as the bonds were going lower. So I decided at that point to start to fire off some intraday trades, and I don't mind showing everybody a portfolio on a given day like this. Listen, I'm short the markets right now. These are live positions. I'm SPY beta weighted, up between 3 and 4 grand, and we've had some, again, wild swings throughout the course of the day. But I wanted to show a couple of the intraday trades. Trade small, okay? Trade pretty effectively in a day like this. One of the things that was kind of bucking the trend is I saw the financials starting to weaken. Okay, this is something I explain on an intraday basis. I went in and shorted Facebook. 108.55. You can actually see I covered Facebook right in the neighborhood of 106 and about 80 cents. Okay, kind of continue on over here. I went out and I shorted the Qs. All right, not a huge trade on Facebook, not a huge short on the Qs over here. I did 200 shares in Facebook and went out and shorted the Qs. Any of this could have been done, okay, with options in lieu of the shares. So you could have absolutely traded in the money puts in lieu of the shares. I went out and traded short 200 shares of the Qs. We shorted them at about 105 and 76 cents. Where did we cover them? Covered them in two different chunks. Covered half of it at 103.59, covered the other half at 104.53. So we had about an average price covered at about 104. Okay, so we sold them almost at 106, covered them at 104. Some nice intraday setups. Okay, one of my favorites today was Google. Shorted just 100 shares of Google. Whew, that's all you need to short in Google. Sold it at 7.35 and 75 cents. Covered 7.31 and 25 cents. Again, all the stuff that I happened to trade today was in this intraday volatility because the market was throwing off such good signals. Now again, trading intraday, that's not for everybody. If it's not for everybody, get down that, again, I'll trade stuff intraday. I build a portfolio of options, and that's exactly what you're seeing here. And additionally, I also have investments. Now, sometimes my investments are short products. For example, I'm short Costco right now. Again, trading is more than just getting in and out of positions quickly. Trading is much more than swing trading. I mean, the idea of, do you have any idea what's going to occur in the markets 3 weeks from now? It's preposterous to think that anybody has an idea of what's going to happen 2 or 3 weeks from now. There's an FOMC announcement on the horizon. Okay? People have to get in their head. It's not about what you think something's going to occur in the markets. It's about the right trading strategy with the right logic. And that's really what we do here at TheoTrade. One other thing I want to offer to everybody, if you check out the email that we sent tonight, you'll actually see a link, TheoTrade.com/Cliff Notes. Every morning, I read just a little bit of a blurb about the markets, what I can anticipate that day in terms of news, what big market movers there are, okay, in the pre-market, what stocks are going to have earnings pre-market, what stocks are going to have earnings post-market, all right, any big news stories from around the world. We're actually going to give it to you guys now. You don't have to be a member for this, all right? We love the idea, all right, of having an email come out to everybody so we're all kind of in the know. And again, it's, if you will, like the Cliff Note version of the markets, very nicely broken down, not really wordy, not huge stories to actually read. It's compliments of TheoTrade. So it's TheoTrade.com/Cliff Notes. You'll also see a link to that. All you have to do is opt in for it. We'll send it every morning that the market is open. Enjoy. Thanks a lot, everybody, for joining us here at TheoTrade. My name is Don Kaufman. I'll be back on tomorrow morning.